Hey guys, Pieguyrulz here, and welcome back to Nick or Treat. Tonight, Chalk Zone. Oh, this show is another one of those, like, as told by Ginger or All Grown Up, that I want to believe is a good show, but from what I've seen recently in holiday episodes, I'm just not sure anymore. And someday very soon I'll revisit these shows and try and figure out if they were genuinely bad and I'm misremembering them, or if these holiday episodes were just some of the worst and the shows are actually good. But for right now, let's talk about the Chalk Zone episode, Pumpkin Love. Rudy has to get his Jill-O-Lantern back from a pumpkin guy that wants to marry it. Let's talk about the positives first. This episode is certainly different. I haven't seen this plot before in a Halloween episode. And even of the times I've seen where an evil character wants to marry someone, it usually isn't an inanimate object. The designs of all the Halloween-themed zoners are interesting, although I will say they use a blur effect in these crowd scenes to blur out the characters that are in the background, and it looks a bit odd. But good designs nonetheless. There's a song in it that's kinda cool. In fact, it plays out a little bit like a rock opera. Though it's not particularly great or memorable, it's still pretty good. And the episode held my attention. I wasn't bored. I was interested in seeing what was going to happen to Rudy and his Jill-O-Lantern, though I wasn't incredibly invested. It was more like, oh, I wonder where this is going to go. Oh, it went there? Okay. Not like I'm sitting on the edge of my seat having to know exactly what's going to happen next. So yeah, even though I was going to talk about the positives, every positive seems to have at least a little bit of negative attached to it. And while I didn't find this episode bad, I didn't really find it that good either. I mean, it can't hold a jack-o'-lantern candle to Hey Arnold's, Cat Dogs, The Angry Beavers, Jimmy Neutron, The Fairly Odd Parents, or any of the other Halloween specials I deemed worth checking out. There is no hook to this episode. There is no reason I would ever want to come back and watch it again. It was perfectly fine the first time through, but I don't want to see it again. At least not right away. And episodes that I feel that way about, I consider to be meh. And I apologize for not having much else to talk about with this episode, it's just, it doesn't exactly give me things to talk about. I guess I could mention the fact that it's a pretty weak excuse that Rudy has to go through Chalk Zone with his Jill-O-Lantern. The excuse is that the bully is like outside his house waiting to smash it, but really, you couldn't tell your parents, or I don't know, sneak out the back, or do anything but go through Chalk Zone. And I know, it's the reason the series exists. It's pretty much the same thing as Timmy having to have some excuse that he just can't unwish the wish. I'm just saying, the excuse could have been a little bit stronger. It felt particularly flimsy. So yeah, that's this episode. It can hold my attention just fine, but that's about it. And when that's the nicest thing I can say about it, yeah, it's not worth your time. Pieguyrulz,